Good morning, Rabbi Sai. Welcome, welcome. Gewaldige news. Rabbi Sai have tremendous hakaras hatoiv to the Mishpacha magazine for doing a beautiful article. Nachum Katz's grandson. And so we're supposed to be on the cover, and something very special happened in Klal Yisroel, as you heard. Reb Stefansky had a baby boy at the age of 88, and his wife is 54 or something. Lamaisa Garet, Jonathan Stefansky said that I need a magnifying glass. If you look closely over here, oh, I made it somehow. Wow. It's a beautiful story, Rabbi Sai. To remind the Olam, I don't know if I said this in the English year, I think I said it only in the Hebrew year. I went to the Kosel for 40 days, and I was very inspired by the story of Reb Stefansky's wife, zechurya. They didn't have children for many years. And Reb Stefansky's wife went to the Kosel. She heard that if you go for 40 days, you're answered. And on day 40, she was waiting for the number 1 bus to go to the Kosel. And as she was about to step onto the bus hit her, and she ended up in the hospital. And I'm like, wow, what a story. And because Baruch Hu didn't want it to happen. So years later, so I went to the Kosel, and Baruch Hashem worked out great. Years later, we had the opportunity of having Reb Tzvi in our house for like 3 days or something. And I asked him about the story. He says, I don't know what you're talking about. Lo hoya v'lo nivra. Never. I didn't even know, not even a remiss. I never even heard the story from anybody else. Anyway, so that's that. You should koyach to Shlomo Kupperman. I'll show you one picture here, if I can find it. First of all, sorry, Gershon. Here's a picture of Dave Sharfman in the booth, because it's the Hebrew. It's the Hebrew shir. It's a beautiful long article. It's very well written. I like this a lot. Of course, I'm going to blow it up, major size. Actually, I'm going to let Noam and Avi do it for me for Purim. 400 by 200 feet. Omar Reb Eli. It's a gewaldige line. Okay, anyways, I'm a little... I'm usually not that heavy, but they photoshopped it. It's good. Okay, gewaldig. So from now until we raise $1.5 million, we're not going to read any emails. We're just going to talk about charity. Let me talk about this for a second. This is like last night's, in the middle of your speech. You getting me back?
Yeah.
Okay, great. This is it. That was the whole show right here. Rabbi Sai, over 200 people took upon themselves a page. That's a lot. We're looking for more, and that doesn't include anybody here in this room. We didn't do anything in here in Ramat Shemesh yet, and there's many more opportunities. We have to reach this amazing goal. Let's try to get to close to $1 million. A guy already gave $10,000, an anonymous person, and only 3 people already took upon themselves a page. They got a link and they started collecting. David Address, he wanted to be the first one, so he gave $100. He said, I'm the first one to give, and I wanted this, and he already raised like $1,500. What are you saying? Huh? Yeah, whatever. It has a cheshbon. So, what?
He's determined that Staten Island is going to get the most. So if one of the other areas starts donating, Staten Island is going to donate more.
Kids, he's looking for people in Staten Island to step up. We're having next week kickoff events all over the world. If you want to know what it's all about and you want to help out, it's low pressure kind of thing. I was a little timid in the beginning. Now I'm getting excited about the idea that we might raise gishmaka money and change the whole face of MDY with it. MS. Better art, better stuff, just more. We're going to, what? More Torah, and those that are in the Torah, we're going to have better ways to communicate and do fabringans and Bava Malkas, stuff like that. Yeah. That comes afterwards. So you go to charity.com/MDY. Here it's on the screen. Charity, CHARIDY.com/MDY, and click create a team. And somebody from the list over here, we have 25 cities already that have like a team leader. There's teams and there's a team leader. Yumi Rosenbaum from Australia. Did I read all this? Baltimore, Eli Hefter, Borough Park, Yisrael Goldstein, Boston, Hananel Wiener, California, Harry Shalom, Chabad, Crown Heights, Shlomi Klein, Chicago, Simi Mandelbaum, Dallas, Josh Strook, Detroit, Morty Kranzer, Flatbush, Akiva Ziegler, Florida, Michael Benchitreat, Gibraltar, Nisim Hassett, Houston, Eitan Mirvis, Indiana, Steven Sokolow, he's still with us. Remember him during Corona? He was in the hospital. Lakewood, Aaron Hirsch, Monroe, Eli Melech Reich from Monroe. Montreal, Shalom Goldstein, he's the one that already put together the event, the first one. North Jersey, Joel Mizrahi, Passaic, Yaakov Lang, Philadelphia, Jeff Rasner, Ranana, Jonathan Austin. He's the guy that got me into Meaningful People, which was the most meaningful piece of marketing we did. RBS, Moshe Hirsch. We're all going to hear, Ora Merkaz, we're all here going to join. South Africa, David Carno, you know him? Tomer is a good friend. Ishkoyach David. Staten Island, David Address. Toronto, Moshe Ben Yair. UK, Itzik Horn. That's a new one. I thought UK would be Shimi Leafman, Dov Harris. No. But it's UK. We skipped over Manchester? There is no Manchester. Waterbury, Yisrael, Moshe Weinreb, big part of MDY. And Williamsburg, Aboisai, Levi Gross. Livy Gross. You're right. L-E-I-V-Y, sorry. Livy Gross. Huh? And not Gross. If you're already going to say Livy, it's Gross. Okay. We have a little bit more. Good morning, Rebelli. 2.5 years ago, I saw Binyamin Gittle's status. This is unbelievable to me. I couldn't show the video, so maybe Yosef, if you don't mind, throw in the video that comes with this email. This is Shimi Leafman. He met a bacher called Binyamin Gittleson. And last night was his wedding, and he did a Good Morning Rabbi at his wedding, so if anybody wants to go back to the video and see it, fine. But he had a picture of a bottle of whiskey, a tray of sushi, and a Gemara. I asked him, what's this all about? He said, it's the daf, you should try it. I said, nah, it's not for me. He said, try it, you will be hooked. I can proudly say I got slightly hooked. And now the unofficial MDY's noisemaker in Manchester, we probably in the entire MDY, we don't have a person that makes as much noise as Shimi Leafman. And it comes from a bacher who convinced him to do it. Benny Gittleson attaches the chassan at his chassan last night doing his thing. The amount of eneklach the chassan has already at such a young age, the amount of people that came this year because of a person that he brought, grandchildren. And this is from Ari Mack. I just got a tooth pulled from my dentist. He said it was a very hard one to pull, but we were both listening to this shir pre-pulling the tooth as zechus of refuah. Here it is, gewaldig. There's a lot of going on, a lot of Yaakov Schmelzer by a wedding yesterday at 3:30 a.m. 3:30 a.m. doing the daf in Spring Valley, New York. Thanks. It changed my life with your daf hatzlacha. The koilel of the day, Tzvi Korlin, for the hatzlacha of my kids, for everything they do in life. The Masechta is sponsored. Wow, we miss you. Welcome back. Shalom Aleichem. Anonymous, for the safe and speedy return of all the hostages. Parnas HaChodesh, Nishmat zechurya ben Moshe, Nishmat zechurya bas Yosef. Yosef, thank you for putting it in the right order today. Parnas HaChodesh, as many times as I said it, I still don't know it, Balpeh. Even though one might be related to me. Parnas HaChodesh, Ahron Fraiman, it should be a zechus to rebel for continued siyadta dishmaya in teaching Torah to Klal Yisroel. And the Parnas HaShavua, Yaakov and Malka, Luxemburg, Lili Nishmat, Rochel, Bas, Moshe, and Yechezkel ben Moshe. Parnas HaYoim, R&D, happy 51st birthday, Avrumie Alan Gross. Thank you for everything. Where's Elvis? He's not here yet? Somebody wrote him with I should save it for another day?
No, just say it.
We didn't get what he said.
Okay. Today, Bitcoin at 73,000. 1,000 more to MDY at 100,000, plus 1,000 more when Elvis buys $1 worth of Bitcoin. Dart of the month, anonymous, for the zechus for an easy childbirth of his daughter and a healthy baby. Rabbi said we're holding today's Daf Tesvav. We are holding on Amud Beis 2, 4, 6, 8, 10 lines from the bottom. So it goes like this. Here's the case to remind the Olam. Rabbi, I have to say this. Barabim. So I came away from the shiur thinking it was one of the worst shiurim I ever had. In fact, it was the first time ever, the Rabbi Schoenberg fell asleep during the shiur. I'm looking, and here he's out cold. Now, it could be it's contagious from Dr. Epstein. I don't know how this stuff works. And I'm like, wow, it's rough. It's like pulling teeth. Ari Mack is watching a shiur pulling teeth. Okay, fine. Be'ezer Hashem, today it's going to be smoother. No falling asleep. What are you drinking there? Maybe it's that stuff that you're drinking that's causing it.
Beet juice.
It's beet juice. Hashem Yirachem. Tov. Rabbi Yisai, here we go. You have a guy that owns a field. He owns a field, and a guy comes over and steals the field from him, and that guy that steals the field sells the field. So there's a buyer. The buyer improves the field. He paid $100 for it, plus he invested $30 in it. So now he's into it for $130. So we had a machlokes, Rav and Shmuel, when they take the field away from him, all $130, how much does he get? Does he get $130 or does he only get $100? Shmuel says he only gets $100. Why? Because since the buyer paid for it in cash, he paid $100. For him to receive in return $130, it looks like ribbis. Not ribbis, it looks like ribbis. Therefore, he only gets $100. So we're holding over here. Tashma. We saw, let's see if we have this. Oh. Let me just show you this. This is Gishmak. Lamb for cheap. We also have this if you want. Let me see where it is. Oh, this one. This might be a little easier to follow. There's a ganav, a lekeach, a gazlan, lekeach. Now, just to break it up, you have the $100, that's the actual value of the field, which is, because it's a stolen field, it's a good thing he pointed it out. Karen looks like a chayiv. In other words, if somebody sells a stolen property, the money he receives, it's fake. It wasn't a sale. So the money sat by him for a week, for a month. That money being there is actually a loan. And then when he has to return the loan, and he returns it with an extra 30, it looks like he's paying interest on that loan. So we had in this brisa that these are the three things that you don't take from sold properties. So if somebody sells a property and he owes alimony and child support, you don't take it from the sold properties. One of the things that we learned was la'achilas peres. You also don't take from sold properties fruit. Ketzad, says the Gemara, 10 lines from the bottom, 9 lines. You steal a field from your friend, and they catch you, they force you to give it back. Keshuhu goiva. Now the simple translation is, when the thief is coming to get compensated, goives hakerim in a chasim shubadim, he gets compensated from real estate. That can't be the pshat, because the thief doesn't get compensated for anything. Uperes goivim in a chasim and a he gets completely compensated. He gets the principal he gets from real estate, and all the fruit he gets from non-real estate. If it's simply the way it's written, Gazav and Mangovi, who exactly is he getting compensated from? Elalav, we must say that's exactly the story that I've been saying over and over. This story right over here that we're talking about, a Ganav who sold the field, and then the guy that it was sold to loses the field. Now that guy that bought the field, he gets compensated. First of all, for the principal that he gets from the Ganav and the fruit. But the problem is, what's the problem, Rabbi Yisai? He just said here that he gets compensated for all the extras. According to Shmuel, the extra looks like ribbis and he doesn't get compensated. For that we have 3 tirutzim. So real quickly, two tirutzim are that this is not even talking about a case of three people. This is actually a case of two people. This is a case of a ganav and a person that owns a field. So we asked, if it's talking about a ganav, who gets compensated? What's going on? If somebody steals a field, you get the field back. That's it. End of story. What is there to compensate exactly? So the two first pshatim are very simple. He gets compensated because he damaged the field. He came in with a tractor and created huge holes and caves. He took somebody's apartment and put dynamite in there. He blew up the apartment. So you have to compensate for that property. So you go after the thief and you take his real estate. Even though he sold it to somebody, you go and you collect from real estate. That's what it says here. Not our story that the ganav sold it and then the guy that bought it wants to get compensated. No. We're talking about a simple case of a guy that stole a piece of property. He decided he's going to build a big building and it requires foundation work of 40-foot foundations. And then all of a sudden the guy gets back his property. He has these 40-foot holes everywhere. Destroyed. So the ganav has to pay him back, but he doesn't have money. So I go after his real estate. First of all, he stole a field. He ate all the fruit. He completely destroyed the field with these kind of round, square, whatever. He made a mess. So when the one that was robbed, he wants to recoup the principal, even though the ganav sold his property, but it was sold after he stole this man's property. So everything that he sells has a lien on it to the person that he stole from, and that person could go and collect from those properties. However, when the one that was robbed wants to recoup all the oranges that grew on his field, he cannot go after real estate, he can only go after regular property or metaltalin. Rabbi Ravuna Amar, another pshat, almost identical to this pshat, slightly different. Amud Aleph, shenotlu masikin. You're asking me, we're only talking about two people, a person that owned the field and somebody that stole from him. So what exactly is he trying to recoup? The answer is because, as we learned in Bava Kama, you could steal somebody's field by pointing it out to the authorities. The goyim come, say, oh, we're looking for a good field. Now, you don't want to give up your field. So you tell them, hey, listen, I have a much, much better field. That guy, you should see what grows on that field. Go around the corner, make a left. That's that field. And they take it. That is, the grass is green on the other side. And that's called gneva. We had a whole sugya. What about ein karkan exelis? You can't. No, by you pointing it out, it's not considered a grama. Boom. So now, the authorities already have his field. He goes to the ganav, pay me back. Well, you're not going to get it out of the authorities. So you go and you collect from his real estate. Even though he sold his real estate, you could collect from it. So it's basically the same teretz as Rava. Just Rava saying there was physical damage. He's saying there was he got somebody to take over the property, but it's damage. So it's the same idea. When he wants to collect for the principal, he goes after the ganav's real estate. When he wants to collect from the fruit that was on the property, then he collects from metaltalin. Says the Gemara, each one doesn't say like the other one, just because of a diuk, the way the lashon is mashma. Because it says in the Brayso, he comes out of his hand, bedina mashma. It seems like it's coming out through the bezin over here. It's not coming out. The field is done. It's by the goyim. I'm going to use the same words that you used. In my advantage, be'eno mashma, seems like there's no holes in the field, there's no bar, there's no shiach, there's no ma'ara. It's as is. Harei hi yaitza, as is. Doesn't seem like there's any damage to the field. So what was the problem? The problem is that it was given to a guy. Now, the third pshat is a little different. We're not talking about a ganav and a person that was stolen from. In fact, it's talking about two separate cases. If you're going to gazal sadam chaver milei peiros, we're talking about the purchaser and the one that was stolen from. That what? The Ganav ate all the fruit. This is talking about a case of three people. Rava and Rabbi Avrumie are talking about a case of two people. Now we're going back to the original case of three people. The one that was right, the story that we said, you stole a field, you gave it to somebody else, he invested in it, whatever he did. The one that was sold to, he could come collect from the Ganav from real estate. Fine. And for the fruit, you take only from metaltalin. Brand new sugya. And by the way, I'm telling the Olam, on Amud Beis, it's almost like a gata. We're only going to spend 4 minutes on Amud Beis. It's very easy. Bein l'Rabba, bein l'Ravuna, milva al pehu. Bein l'Rava, bein l'Rabba, Ravuna, milva al pehu. This that the Gazlan owes money to the owner of the field, right? A story. Person steals a field from somebody, brings tractors, destroys his field. Now he owes money to the owner of the field. Why are you going after the Ganav's real estate? You go after real estate when there's a lien. When you write a document that says there's a lien. Where's the lien over here? How can you go after the Ganav's real estate? The bigger problem is, when do you go after somebody's real estate? When the whole world knows about it, and you should have been careful not to buy that person's real estate. A person gives a loan, the whole world knows there's a loan. How do you know? Because there's Eidim, there's a shtar, there's rumors. But if somebody steals property, who's going to know about it? So why shouldn't I buy from a Ganav, a con artist, right? I have to know that he stole somebody's property. How am I going to find out? So the Gemara says, what right do you have to go after an unsuspicious person that bought a property from the Ganav 2 years ago? He's going to lose his property because the guy that he bought it from is a Ganav and stole somebody else's property, and I have to give up my property now? Says the Gemara, yes. Yes, there was a court case. He sued the Ganav in court, and the Ganav lost, and there was a psak din. Ganav paid back this guy. After the court case, the Ganav went and sold off his property real quickly. But by that time, people know about it. It's already famous. You heard? So-and-so took his friend to court. He claimed he's a Ganav. The court said they agreed with him. He is a Ganav. Okay, so now the world knows that he's a Ganav. So you should have been careful not to purchase from him. As the Gemara bomb question, Yochi Peres Nami, so how do you get out of the Peres? Peres was also in court. Says the Gemara, it seems like a doichik teretz, like a b'diavad teretz. No, we're talking about a case. They only went to court over the property, but not over the fruit. Says the Gemara, oh my Pascha. What? You're going to tell me a case that doesn't happen all the time, just once in a while? This is what happened now. Why do you say something like that? Because, says the Gemara, stomach the milsa, that's normal. When you go to court, you go over the big stuff. You're not going to worry about the oranges on the field. You'll take care of that in small claims court. Let's go. Let's get in for the real estate. I have a property downtown. I'm not worried about the air conditioner on the refrigerator that he stole from the kitchen. No, I need my property back. So that's why we focus on the property. Kitava inish, karna tava bereishi. You always go for the principal first, and that's what the rumors came out on the principal. So he immediately went, and before he had even a chance to go to small claims court on the refrigerator, he sold his property off. But by that time, people knew about it. Now, if we remember, let's just go back here for a second. Okay. Shmuel says that when a Ganav sells off a property, and that person with that hole, with the tree, with the guy grabbing his neck, that person improves the property, and went from $100 to $130. Shmuel says you don't get the $30. You don't get the improvement. Why? Because the 30 looks like ribbis. The same case when it comes to a malva and a loiva. Somebody lent somebody money, and the borrower went ahead and sold his property, and that person that bought the property improved it to 130. Comes the malva, the lender comes and grabs the property away. That the person that bought the property does get compensated for the $30. Because over there, it doesn't look like ribbis. Says the Gemara. Does Shmuel really say that you don't get the $30? It looks like ribbis. Shmuel told Rav Chinina, Imlich uksoiv shufro shivcho peri. To do a little chazara, we had something very, very similar yesterday. We had this yesterday. Just to do chazara. Achrayus to soifer. What does that mean? That if you don't have a shtar if your shtar doesn't mention anything about liens, you should know it was a mistake from the soifer. So the Gemara says, wait a minute. Don't you have to ask specifically, do you want me to write a shibud in there? Do you want me to write that I guarantee all improvements, the shvach? Do you want me to write in there that if you come to sue me, you'll take from the best of the best? If you don't ask, you don't get it. So now the Gemara says something very similar. Look what happens. Only the one on the right is going to change. Payre. But we just learned this yesterday. I'm just saying that, some of you were not conscious, but those of you, payre. So we're saying, says Shmuel, you have to say, you have to write, you have to ask the guy, do you want me? Imlich, uksoiv. You ask the Sofer asks you, should I write in here, shufra, that you're going to get from the best of the best? That I am guaranteeing the shvach, the improvements, upere, and I'm guaranteeing if somebody takes the fruit off the grounds over here, the finished fruit, I'm going to pay for that also. Who said it? Shmuel. Shmuel says that there's shvach. Look, one of the three things, the middle one, is shvach. Shvach is the $30 on top of the 100. So Shmuel says, you do pay for, he does get compensated for the shvach for the improvements. Now what is it talking about? So again, let's go back to this. It could be one of two things. Either Shmuel was talking about a gazlan, and on that it will be a big kasha, because on a gazlan he said, you don't collect. Or we could say, no, it's talking about a loan. So Gemara starts off, if it's talking about a loan, we're talking about finished fruit off the ground. Somebody owes me money, I come and I collect the field. But it doesn't mean I could get the bike on the field, and the oranges that are in boxes, that's not mine. So there's no pairs. You don't get the fruit. Elav, we must say that we're talking about one of the two things is gazlan. So we're talking about our case, gazlan. Lav v'lekech gazlan. When you buy from a gazlan, when the gazlan has to pay, it's the nigzal. It's the nigzal's fruit. You planted oranges on his property, so he takes the oranges. It's his. What's the problem? What does Shmuel say? If a ganav sells a property, he took $100 for that property. For him to give the $130 back with improvements, that looks like ribbis. What if he doesn't have $130? And instead of that, he gives a property back. That's okay. That doesn't look like ribbis. When I get 100 and I give 130, everybody knows. Look, it's very clear. I got 100 in my pocket. 2 months later, I'm paying the guy back 130. That looks like ribbis. If I get $100 in my pocket and 2 months later I pay him a small piece of property somewhere, yes, it's worth 130, but it doesn't look like ribbis. We're learning a new concept in Shas called saw b'saw. Saw is a measurement. Here's the case. Shimon lends. It happens in Eretz Yisrael a lot. They come, they knock on your door, and they borrow a bottle of oil. Happens all the time. Or a bag of sugar, a thing of milk. Yeah. Especially in Eretz Yisrael because we live close together in the same buildings. So he lends him a bowl of wheat, a saw of wheat. How much is the value today? Because wheat is on the stock exchange, right? Every day it fluctuates. What? Commodity. It's a commodity. So there's an actual price in the market. Today it's worth 20. By the time he pays him back, it went up to 30. You can't do this. You cannot pay back the same amount of wheat. I'm giving you the same amount, but the value changed. It's commodity. Maskim? Cows are a commodity. Wheat are a commodity. You can't do that. So as a buyer, you gave me 100, I'm giving you back karka, but at the end of the day, it's worth 130. I can't do that. It's a durabanan. Says the Gemara, what happened in our case? It looks like a loan, but the Ganav tried to sell it. He tried to sell a property, and he got $100 for a sale, a fake sale, which we turned into a loan. But the $100 wasn't given as a loan. The guy would never give the con artist $100. He tried to buy a field for $100. Okay, so because it started out as a sale, so that's it's one derabanan. Plus, you're adding on the b'sa, which is another derabanan. So it's a derabanan and derabanan, we're not makbid on it. Igad Amri, and some say the same exact idea, just said on another thing. There's another way to get out of this $30 business that looks like ribis. Ganav sells the field for $100. Ganav gets back $130. Looks like ribis. No, this is a case that doesn't look like ribis. Why? Because they made a deal that I'm giving you $100 today, and if there's any issues, you give me back $130 today. Right now, you give me back $130. The kinyan happened today. Ribis is I borrow money for a year. At the end of the year, I give you X amount interest on the money you gave me. But it's because I had it for a year. But if you coin it right now, you owe me all the interest today. That's not ribis. Wait a minute. Not true. The same question, same answer. But it's still sabasa. It doesn't. I mean, the rabbanon should be aser. But over here, since the whole thing wasn't a loan to begin with, it was only a sale, a fake sale, so we're not makbid on it. Gufa, Omer Shmuel, Bal Choiv. Oh, so now we're talking about not a gazlan, but a Bal Choiv. Do we need to see this? We'll see it. Why not? Here we go. Ruvain borrows $100. Ruvain sells his field to Shimon for $100. Shimon improves the field. It's the same thing as the case of Gezel, just the outcome is different. And now the field is worth 130. The Malva takes it. Now Shimon wants to get compensated 130. Omar Shmuel, on this I agree. Baal Chayv Goyves Hashevach. Over here he does get 130. It doesn't look like ribis. He actually purchased the field. It was a real purchase, not a fake purchase. Omar Rava Teida. Omar Rava Teida, I'll prove it to you. Because in fact, if you look at a document, a sale document, you'll see it inside the document. What does it say in the document? I'll stand v'ashpei. I'll silence everybody. I'll keep everybody quiet. If people come and are ma'arer, they make avgana v'atkin. I'll purify v'amorik and I'll clean zvina elaine. This sale inun v'amaleon, all the expenses v'shivcheyon. Oh, this is the key word. Says over here shvach. I will take care of the improvements. Oh, that's it. So it says in the shtar that you pay for improvements. There's nothing to discuss. And I'll stand in front of you. These witnesses, they witnessed that the buyer accepted this. The buyer accepted. Big kasha. What about a gift that you don't have all this wording? When I give somebody a gift, I'm going to go through all the trouble that I'll stand up if somebody says it's not yours. Here's an apartment. Don't do me any favors. If people come and fight with you, you fight with them. I don't have to guarantee a gift. It's a gift. Take it. So it doesn't have all this wording. So what are you going to tell me that if it doesn't have this wording and then somebody grabs it away, he doesn't get the improvements? You're right. A gift is different. So first of all, I want to tell you real quickly. I saw this a while ago. The Israelis didn't get it, but maybe you will. I showed a video yesterday. The Americans on the table laughed. The Israelis didn't. It was mamish unbelievable. The same video. Showed it to a woman in the morning. Tells her husband, "I bet you don't know what day it is today." She, yeah, of course they do. And he leaves the house. And during the day, she gets breakfast from her favorite restaurant, then she gets a bouquet of roses, and then jewelry comes, the whole thing. The husband comes home at night. He says, "No." She says, "What new?" "This was by far my best Groundhog's Day ever." Okay, maybe because I said Groundhog Day. No, I said Yom Zikaron. They're like, huh? I don't get it. Okay. I gotta tell you this, seriously. Avraham Cohen heard this last night and he told me it gave him chizuk shtickle. So the question is, when you buy your wife flowers, how come sometimes it means more to some women, like flowers, some don't? How come it means more to her sometimes than you go out of your way and you buy her a piece of jewelry? Why? It's just flowers. So Shimshon Pincus explains, he says there are two types of gifts. There's a gift that fills a void, something that you need. You need a toaster oven, so I buy a toaster oven. There's a gift that means there's absolutely it's not necessary at all. And when you give a person a gift like that, that's like, wow, that shows your love. He says on Purim, we give matanas levyanim, you have to give two, but mishloach manos you give one. Mishloach manos you give even to a wealthy person. He doesn't need your shalach manos. He needs your cake that your wife made yesterday or four weeks ago, put in the freezer and under this and with the little bottle thing of Kedem grape juice. No, but since it's not necessary, it shows that I love you. I came to your house, I gave you this. So Mela, when you give flowers, she doesn't need it. It's not something that's going to help her or not help her. Well, it shows love. So I want to tell you, Maisa Shaya, everybody in this room knows this person. I'm not going to say his name. Maisa Shaya. He comes to visit his wife in the hospital, and I didn't buy flowers. It's not a problem. He sees flowers on the floor in the hallway of the hospital. So he takes the flowers, he arranges it real nicely, and comes into his wife with the flowers, all excited. And his wife starts crying. He says, why are you crying about your flowers? She says, no, those flowers were my neighbor's flowers. They're dead. So she threw them out into the hallway, and you just brought me dead flowers. What are you laughing, Mendy? You know what I'm talking about?
Of course.
Okay. I hope you don't know what I'm talking about. Then it would be big Lashon Hara. No, he doesn't care. He told me he doesn't care. I could even say his name. But I'm not going to say his name. So, no, but he used to choose crying. That time she was crying from happiness. Yeah. I forgot what Avrumie wanted to tell me. He told me that his wife liked it, and she said, sometimes his wife said that sometimes when he buys flowers, it doesn't mean anything to her because he's on the phone and he's not. He says when you buy flowers, that's come from the heart. You have to show that you went out of your way and you bought it. And then I remember the story. You go out of your way and you buy it. Not the sound. Here's flowers and you're doing texting. It comes from the heart. You pick it up down the hallway from the garbage in the hospital. It's not such a gewaldic idea. Sagt the Gemara, "V'chi yafa koyach matana mimecher." V'chi yafa koyach matana mimecher is what's going on here? A gift, it doesn't say these words in there, so you can't go after the shvach. But a sale, yes. In yafa v'yafa, because if you think about it, it's really better. A gift is better. Why? A gift, he has no recourse. If I give somebody a gift and then the guy comes and grabs it away from him, so he's left with no gift. What kind of gift is that? So Mela, I say, okay, you could keep the shvach, but when it comes to mecher, there's a deal. I go after the guy that sold it, Seder. Let's go weiter. Omer Reb Nachman, Hamas Nisa Misayel Limar Shmuel. So this is a beautiful thing. I have a brisa that's going to help Shmuel. But what are good friends for? Good friends, like Rav Huna, will destroy it. V'huna chavrin mukim lo b'mila achrine. Great. I thought I have a great raya for Shmuel, but Rav Huna destroyed it. If a guy borrowed money and he sold the field, and then the malva comes to collect, he grabs the field. Kishu goiva, when the buyer comes to collect, yeah, if it's talking about Givaldik, if it's talking about the top case of a loan, like I just explained it, then this is a beautiful raya to Shmuel. Shmuel says you could be compensated for the improvements. V'shevach, the improvements, goivim min chasim b'nei chayrin. But he says no, it's talking about the thing on the bottom, talking about gezel. In gezel, you don't get compensated. That will be, instead of a raya to Shmuel, that would be a bam kash on Shmuel, because Shmuel says you don't get compensated, and over here says you do get compensated. Depends how you explain the brisa. The point is, I cannot bring any raya from this brisa, because on the one hand, you could say it's gezel, you could say it's a loan. It doesn't say what it is. Tanya Yedach, If somebody improves the field, and then comes the lender and grabs the field away, it goes something like this, very, very simple. A guy invests, right? Every farmer hopes to make more money than he puts into the field, more than his investment. So over here, on the top it says he invested 100 in the tractor, in the employees and everything. The field put out 150. So now he bought the field from a borrower. The lender came, the bank came, took the field away. How does he get compensated for the 150? So the Gemara says 100, his expenses he gets from the bank, from the lender. Why? Because they get a field with $150 worth of produce. All they have to pay is 100 for it. They pay expenses. Like if you come into my field and you build a fence for me, I have to pay you for your expenses, but not for the value of the fence. But the shvach, the extra, the difference, that you get from the borrower, the moicher. Yeah? 100 from the malva, 50 from the loiva. It says moicher, which is the borrower. Okay? Now, what about if this case happened? Nebuch, he's a big shlemazel. He put 100 into it, but lost 25. Now what? So 75 he gets from the malva, the loiva, I mean, and he gets 0 from the malva. Why? Think about it. If a guy, he doesn't have a borrower, no lender, anything. A guy puts $100 into his field, pulls out 75. Who's going to pay him the difference between the 75 and the 100? He lost for $25. Who's going to pay for the difference? Nobody. When you lose, you lose. Over here also. He put in 100, got 75. Say thank you, you're going to get 75 from the loiva. He gets the 75. Now, how does Shmuel explain this? Again, let's go back to this. Let's just go back to this for a second. This makes it very clear. Shmuel says when it comes to a stolen property, you do not get the $30. You don't get any of the improvement. Over here, it says you get improvement. From who? From the seller, from the loiva. So it can't go like Shmuel. Kashiresha. Sorry, I skipped. Oh, less leishvach, he gets 0 improvement, 0, because it looks like ribis. And if we're talking about a loan, kashiresha v'seifa. 2 things are shver. Shmuel holds that a malva, a lender, takes the improvement without paying. And over here it says he has to pay. It's a problem. You could say that we're talking about the case of a gneva, and as we explained before, there's 2 ways to get out of the ribis problem. Either by paying with real estate or by making a kinyan right now. So there's no ribis, because ribis is at the end, not in the beginning. And if you want, you can say the whole thing's talking about a loan. Let me just show you what Shevach HaMegiah L'Ktefayim means. Take a look quickly because it goes by quick. You saw that? Let me do it again. Ktefayim are shoulders. So when the wheat reaches your shoulders, basically it's done. But it's not done. There's another 2% left in the ground. So this is Shevach She'ein Megiah L'Ktefayim. Lower wheat. So this is very, very simple. Take a look. You hear this, Mendy? You're going to like this. Think about it. I'm repossessing, what's the lashon? I'm taking control of somebody else's field. I'm the bank. I foreclose whatever on the field. And there's wheat that's just started to grow. Who gets it? The bank or the farmer that planted it? The bank. Because it's so small, it's part of the ground. What if it's completely ripe? All it needs to be you have to cut it off, then you go all the way to the bottom of the chart. Then of course the bank doesn't take it. That's already like my bicycle is on top of the ground. Why should they take my bike? But what if it's 99% done? That's where you have in between red and green. The bank takes it, but they pay for it. It's in between. So, if it's a Megillah Tefayim, it's 98%, the bank takes it, pays for it. The B'choiv has to pay. Since it's not ripe at all, then that's when Shmuel says the bank takes it and doesn't pay for it at all. Right now, I just have to tell the Olam, there's a lot of people that are listening to the shir and they skip over the emails. That's fine. Even though I believe the email is a big part of the cohesiveness of the Mishpacha of MDY. Fine. Some people don't get it and they don't appreciate it. So I have to tell the Olam that we are doing, there's people that don't even know about this. We are doing a massive campaign to raise close to $1 million. Be'ez Hashem will be 5 million. But the campaign right now is to raise a little less than $1 million.
A little more than 2 million.
And whatever, you listen to Nachman, Reb Nachman, we're raising $1 million, he's raising $1 million on his own. And you should go to charity.com/MDY if you want to be a part of it and take upon yourself a page. What you do is you say, okay, I have a goal. I know X amount of people. I know some Gvirim, yeah? They could easily give me $10,000. So you take upon, if you think to yourself like that, my shver could give me this. So you take upon yourself, whatever you think, you take upon yourself a goal, make a page. And then you start raising that money. And you send WhatsApps out, and it starts filling up. You see how it fills up. And together, all these different cities, we hope to raise $2 million. Okay? That makes them feel good. Beseder. We'll talk afterwards. Says Gemara, you're telling me, look at this. In this chart, if it's red, if it's completely grown, if it's the middle one, it's the middle one, that it's 98% grown. So what's the halach we just said? The Malva takes it but has to pay for it. Shmuel said no, take it and don't pay for it. The what? When he's owed the real estate, the amount, okay, in our case we have real estate worth 100, the improvement is worth 30. When the lender is owed 130, then he comes and takes everything, the improvements also. But when he's only owed 100, and together with the improvements it's 130, so he takes the whole thing, but he has to pay for the 30 difference, because he's not owed that. Pashut. Do you ever, huh?
No guarantee.
What do you mean?
The wheat, the grain, something can happen.
Right now it's worth 30. Right now, today, if it's worth 30, then he has to pay the extra 30. Says the Gemara, listen to this. We have a machlokes. We had this in Ksubas, I think. If I bought a field, unsuspectingly, I bought an apartment in Ramat Bet Shemesh, I didn't realize that there's a lien on it. I move my family in, I do all the stuff, I paint the walls the way I like it. Comes the bank, says, get out of here. Do I have the option to pay the bank? How much are you owed? You owed $1 million? Here's $1 million. I have two options. To move, and I lose my apartment, and then I have to go after the seller for my $1 million. Or I could pay $1 million and go after the seller for $1 million. I have two options. Do I have the option to stay in the apartment? One mandomer says yes, one mandomer says no. Now, if I do have that option, ask the Gemara, what right does the lender have to come and take my entire property with all my shvach? I only owe him 100, not 130. He came and took everything. I even have the option to tell him, you don't take anything, here's 100. So how does he take 130? Let me tell him, listen, there's 30 here that you owe me, let's convert it to cash. Give me a little piece of the field right over here. You don't have a right to just barge in there and take everything. So let's see inside. I don't have the right to stay in my apartment. I have to leave. Shapir, everything makes sense. But if he has the right to chase him away with money, if I had the money, I would have chased you out completely. But today you caught me on a bad day. I don't have any money. Give me a little piece of land in that field. Shir shivrai, the amount of my improvement. Instead of you taking everything with improvements and giving me cash, I don't want that. I want a piece of the field. It doesn't matter. I have the right to stay in the whole field. I have the right to stay in half a field. I have a right for even half.
I bought it without partner.
No, you just have a lien. You didn't buy anything. You have a lien. So you can't tell me if halakhically I have the right to stay there. I could kick you out 100%. So I could kick you out 50% also. You don't like that. Okay. By the way, turning over the daf is sponsored by Kidnovations LLC in honor of my Uncle Reb Elchanan Pressman and zechus for Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga. I spoke to Akiva Simcha Ben Feiga this morning, and he says, "Are you still dropping my name over there?" I said, "No, not in the beginning of this year. We're doing it by the turning of the daf." He goes, "Oh, that's why I can't find it." So now today he's not going to be able to find it because it's not at the turning of the daf. It's 10 lines later. Zechus. Ner Tamid of Baltimore, Maryland, in honor of Fishel and Simcha Gross. Thanks to them, 137 people learned over 16,000 daf in over 727 minutes, and we're Messiah himself is Bava Kama. Rabbi, we're getting to the Sagadata, don't worry about it. Neima lei, we have more than 4 minutes. Neima lei, ila haveli zuzah, okay. Says Gemara, when the borrower says, you're going to take from this field, then there are no options to stay on the field and to keep the apartment. I told the bank, you're going to take it from this field, from this house. Then there's no machlokes even. Everybody agrees that you can't stay there. That's what apoiteki means. It's actually in Latin. Here it is. Here's that gata. What happened was, there's a con artist running around the neighborhood. He's stealing karka from this guy, this guy. You, for whatever crazy reason, you fell on your head that morning. You decide, I'm going to do a deal with him. Okay? I want to buy land from him. Now, to explain it, I have to say the very famous joke. Everybody knows this Maisa, but just Saber Soizen. A guy, a multimillionaire, is worth $500 million. He has a $400,000 Bentley. He comes to the bank and he says, listen, I need a $10,000 loan. Of course. And I want to give you collateral, my Bentley. He said, fine. Kids, a month later, he comes, pays back the $10,000, takes his Bentley. So the guy says, I don't understand. You have in the account $400 million in liquid, and why are you borrowing $10,000? He says, oh, very simple. I went to Barbados on vacation for a month. I didn't know what to do with my Bentley. It's Manhattan. So I gave it to you as Clara. You're going to take good care of my Bentley, and now I'm back. That's what happened over here. I have $1 million. I don't know what to do with it, right? I don't know what to do with $1 million. I'm going to Barbados. Who's going to watch my money? No banks in those days. I'm going to give it to the con artist. I'm going to buy property from him for $1 million. I know that's not his property. Some guy, when I get back from vacation, is going to come and grab the property back. Then I'm going to go to the guy, hey, give me back my $1 million. He watched my $1 million, and I didn't even have to pay him for it. Omar Rav, it's a great, I'm saying this guy's not 100. This guy's mamish. He found the wrong person to do business. Omar Rav, if you purchase this property, mois yesh loy shevach ein loy, you get your money back, but you don't get your improvements. Ushmul amar filu mois ein loy, you don't get anything back. What is the source of the machlokes? A person knows that this guy is a ganav, it's not his land. Why do you give it to him? He wanted him to watch his money. Oh, tell him, I'm trying to deposit money here. No, the guy doesn't want to take your... Who wants to watch $1 million for somebody? And then Reb Chaim Kanievsky is going to say you're chayiv the $1 million because you didn't put a mezuzah on that room. I don't know what the problem is. Remember that story? I'm not watching your money. He thought he's not going to accept it. No. He knows that he's a ganav and he doesn't have any karka, so why did he give it to him? He saw he's struggling. Why is he stealing karka? He's in Moyer Heter because he doesn't have parnas. So he's still, you know what? In a nice way, I'll pretend I'm buying his gneva. Here's a gift. Okay. He's embarrassed. I saw in the Nitzutze there's a sefer. Rav Margolis, who is it? He says a beautiful thing here. It says the Machlokes Rav and Shmuel, if you give a gift to somebody in Masechta Shabbos, Daf Yud Aleph, if you give a gift to somebody, you have to tell him. So if you have to tell him, and he didn't tell him, so obviously it's not a matana, it's a pekadin. Rav Lishitasa, that you must notify him. So it's not a matana. So, fine. As the Gemara, this exact machlokes we had before in what? Gewaldige case. Didmar. A guy goes over to his sister, I want to marry you. Guy's in Meshugana. Rav Amar Moiz Chayzim, Shmuel Moiz Matana. Rav says he gets him the money back. Shmuel says no, it was a gift. Rabbi, same exact thing. Everybody knows you can't marry your sister. But he's trying to fool her. He's going on vacation. He wanted her to watch his money. She should have said so. She doesn't want to do it. I have all these things to tell you, but I'm not going to say it now. I'm controlling myself. And Shmuel says, no, it's a gift. He knows you cannot get engaged to your sister. However, he wanted to be nice to her, so he's a Meshuggah. He didn't know how to do it. He's a Vilda guy. He says, with this $10,000 ring. And she, the Shaita, took it. But obviously, it doesn't go into effect. He gave her a gift. And he can't have it back. He should have said, big tzaddikim over here. People that are very makbid on Soina Matan Sichia, but they get engaged, brother and sister. Okay, fine. Kasha v'maisa. Tzricha. So the question is, we already had the same exact machlokes. Tzricha, I need both of them. If I only say by Gneva, which normal person gives a gift to somebody who doesn't know? It doesn't make any sense that it's a gift. It makes a lot of sense to give your sister a gift. And if I just say by the sister, maybe they greet each other. In the other case, tzricha. Let's just do 3 formal lines. Is it 4 minutes? Menachem? Yeah. Bein l'Rav, bein l'Pekadon, bein l'Rav, domar Pekadon, bein l'Shmuel, domar Matana. Hayla Arab, Maiko Nochas, Uperis Heichi Achol. Ask the Gemara a very simple question. You know that the field is stolen. What right do you have to go into somebody else's field and pretend that you're buying it from a ganav and eat up all the fruit there? It's not your field. The answer is, if you ever ask yourself, what right does that guy on the street sell drugs to a 14-year-old? Or here in Israel, what right does that guy in the Makolet sell cigarettes to 11-year-olds and 12-year-olds when he knows they could give them cancer and all sorts of beautiful stuff? How? The answer is, he's doing them a favor. He's mamshet tzaddik. The other guy down the block also sells it. So he could get it there anyway. Oh, the other guy sells a full pack. I'm only going to sell him half a pack. Mamshet tzaddik. People on Moira Heter, they come up with crazy excuses to do terrible things. Oh, over here also. I'm going to eat fruit from a stolen field. I'm pasha doing the guy a favor. Like, he stole it already. I'm just taking from the ganav. I think I once learned in yeshiva, hagoynev min haganav potter. I don't know what it means. I don't know that that's the halacha, but I remember those words, which it's not true. Hagoynev min haganav is not potter. But everybody knows that. Hagoynev min haganav potter. And if the owner comes, I'm going to pay him. And according to Rav, that says, I'm just trying to use him as a bank and manipulate him. So it's a pikadon. And according to Shmuel, I'll give him a gift. At the end of the day, I'm a big tzaddik, Rabbi Isai. Have a wonderful day.